Hello, welcome everybody to this incredible roundtable. We have Janelle Sloan with us today. Welcome so much, Janelle, for being here with me.
Thank you. So great to be here.
This roundtable is for you. This is really everything that we're doing, everything that we are being. We have our hearts open to healing autoimmune conditions. This is our passion, this is our purpose, and this is everything that we have. So we came up with this really fantastic idea in a meeting about a month ago where we said we should hold a roundtable for anybody who has a question in regards to their own healing journey. Because as we look at it, healing is not just one singular myopic event. It's not like we go and we take the Advil and then all of a sudden everything's gone and the symptoms are gone. We wished it was that way. We wish it was easy like that. But sometimes healing is at a deeper level. There's something deeper within us that we are healing. So this is why you're here. This is why you're watching us right now. This is why you're in this room, is because you were drawn here for a reason. And I think that reason, actually, you know what? I'm going to take the word think out. I know that reason is you're looking for a higher purpose, a higher reason that there's something else underneath your layers of healing. So that leads me to a powerful question, Janelle, that I've been asked many, many times from other individuals is there something that is blocking me from healing? And it kind of, when this question is asked of me, it's almost asked out of frustration. You can hear the frustration, the anger, the fear inside of the voice that when they say this, is like, what is blocking me? I've done all of this stuff. What the hell is wrong? And they put it back upon themselves and they'll say the words, what is wrong with me? So, Janelle, what are your thoughts around that when it comes to healing?
Well, that's even you just asking that question. There's so much power and there's so many layers between that question. And of course, it is incredibly unique for each individual and for each person. But the most common thread is really just their heart. It is when they are in that spot of what is wrong with me, what is going on, they're in a spot, of frustration, but also they're in a spot of openness and of wonder and of surrender, right? It's very complex. It's kind of a big mixture of so many things. But with my experience with all the clients that I've worked with, it definitely is hidden within their heart. It's hidden within their beliefs. It's hidden within their body. It's hidden within their storyline that they're telling themselves, or somebody or something else is telling themselves. It's kind of just a beautiful hidden treasure, really.
Okay.
And just really, really unique for each person.
I like how you answered that, this opening of our heart. And I think you hit it right on the head. It's unique for us all, but that becomes part of this discovery. So is healing a path of discovery, of finding who we really are, this love that we are within our hearts? That either we lead towards a protocol or we lead towards something else, or even we remove parasites out of our body, or we do something else that is from a functional side, repairing this beautiful machine called our bodies. But it's really creating that alignment with that self-love from within.
Right. And even that resonance, I think sometimes I know we both keep on saying I think, but really when they're asking that question, whether they're asking it to themselves or to a source or anywhere, it's always answered. It's always answered, obviously, in so many unique ways. But it really is that alignment, and it really is that it really is that resonance. And we wish it would be a quick fix. But sometimes it really is a part of that journey. It is a part of that unfolding and that seeking that really leads us to all the answers, that leads us to the healing and to the wholeness. Some things can be quick. Some things absolutely can be very quick and can be supportive and can help. But as far as the autoimmune, it is just so incredibly unique for each person, but it is delicate. And so it just takes um, a little more stillness, a little more stillness
Mhm.
to just really listen, and not to listen with frustration, right? To stillness to calm
Mhm.
down that frustration, to calm down all of the questions that we have, and just listen and just be still, and listening multidimensionally, not just audibly hearing something, but listening to our body's consciousness. What are we feeling? What are we drawn to? What comes up? What unfolds? What presents in that
Mhm.
stillness? I know we have all experienced that. We've all experienced that point of stillness, that we are just stopped and peaceful and calm. And
Mhm.
most often that's when those beautiful answers and those first steps, or that next step, comes forward for healing.
You pointed to something, and I just want to point back out once again, as this is an open circle, so any
Mhm.
questions that you might have at all, definitely pop it in chat. Janelle and I are here to support you and to help you for anything that you need, so definitely pop your question in chat. But as we're having this beautiful discussion before a question comes in, is you're really talking about that flow and that listening and slowing down and really honoring the language of our bodies.
Yeah.
Because as you had said so beautifully, it may come in from multiple areas, that when this voice comes in, it doesn't come in a moment of, I got to, that
Mhm.
frantic nature of, I
Mhm.
want, I want, I want. It comes when we open and we surrender to it. And that answer, because our body is always talking to us, that
Right.
answer then comes to us in that.
Right. And sometimes that answer may not come from ourselves. Sometimes it's going to come from you, Matt, or come from Melissa, or come from
Yeah.
someone else that you are working with, that you're guided to work with. And they're the one that can see it and hear it and sense it. And they're the one that's going to be able to deliver that message, or
Yeah.
pick up on what is the next and best step for that person's healing. So I think that's a key thing when we talk about being open, or receiving
Mhm.
messages, or being still and listening. It's okay if we don't hear anything. It's
Yeah.
100% okay. That's why there's so many beautiful hearts out there that can help and assist and facilitate
Right.
in that process and in that journey. Yeah.
I love how you said that you can hear it from multiple people.
Yeah.
It's that adage that we all know is, when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Yeah.
But we've got to open ourselves up to be able to hear it
Yeah.
into those aspects. Another question that I often get, and this one might hit a little bit rough, um, is, I'm not worth it.
Oh, yeah.
Is, what if I feel, and it'll come out in languages, what if this doesn't work?
Right.
What if I'm too busy? What if
Right.
I have too many other things going on in my life? But really, what that is pointing to is that I don't know if I want to make myself a priority.
Right.
Do you find that in your practice that question comes up?
All the time. And
Okay.
of course, all the time, my heart's just like, oh,
Yeah,
I
I know.
understand, I resonate. We've all felt that. And um, what I do know to be 1,000,000% true is that when your prayer is longer than your pain, that is when healing starts. No matter
Mhm.
where you are, who you're talking to, what you're reading, what you're looking at, what you're going through, whether it's autoimmune or anything, when that prayer is stronger than any pain or anything that you're going through, it's instantly that healing starts instantly. And those correct people, those correct books, the correct search on your web, on your phone or on your web, everything aligns to assist
Yeah.
in that prayer. Um, but yeah.
Well, and this is goes to the story. I love this story from Diana Caputo, who she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, was bedridden, was no longer able to function her fingers, her feet. She was completely immobilized and bedridden, like I had said. But she really had her voice activated computer, and she spoke into her computer after moments of that deep prayer that
Mm,
you're talking about.
mhm.
And then a practitioner popped up on her
Oh,
screen, and she goes, I don't even know if I said that. But that led her down a road to today, after 4 years of healing, she travels the country helping other individuals
nice.
along their journey in their process. So I love how you said the longer the prayer, the deeper the prayer. So could you expand on that a little
Sure.
bit more, like the deepening of the prayer? So if anybody that's listening right now or is viewing this at a later time really looks at it is and saying, okay, what the heck did Janelle just mean when she goes a longer prayer? I've been out there praying, please, please help me. God, source, universe, there's got to be a way, that type of thing. So could you explain that a little bit more for me?
Sure, of course. Again, it's going to be a little different for each person, but what I have found for myself and my own healing and what I see in clients as well is it's not necessarily a longer prayer or a deeper prayer, or there's really no structure to it or no method, right? There's no
Okay.
rules, no
Yeah.
method to it. I think it just happens in an instant, and it's like
Mhm.
a spark, and it is just this. We know what that feels when we have all this momentum, we have all this emotion, but it is when there is this combination of so many of surrender, of emotion, of frustration, of
Mm.
so many different things, and there is just this spark that ends up being greater and more mighty than what we've done prior. It could have just been a spark of a thought, a spark of that prayer, a spark of that wish, a spark of that desire. Um,
Mhm.
that creates the miracle. That creates a shift in our life and in this system. I hope I'm answering it correctly. It's kind of hard to answer because it's a little
It
different
is.
for each person.
Right,
But
absolutely.
yeah,
You know what? But I like how you said you are shifting the energy because, ultimately we all know, and it's been scientifically proven that we all vibrate
yeah,
at a specific rate. So we are either pulling energy of fear, shame, guilt, depression,
mhm,
frustration, which is that element of fear, or we can pull it from an element of love, and this raises our vibrational level. So
mhm,
you're basically saying is that if we start being aware of it and we start looking at it, even if it's fear, we're observing it, so we're allowing it to
yeah,
change, then it allows us to somewhat shift, even if it's just a 1% shift,
mhm.
like a little shift. Have you noticed like a
Oh,
small
yeah.
shift makes a big difference?
The smallest, the smallest breath, the smallest shift, the
Mhm.
smallest anything. Even we were talking about just this power or this spark, but even when we're tired, especially with autoimmune, with so many things, we are
Mhm.
exhausted. We do not have the energy. We are exhausted. We are tired, right?
Yeah.
And so sometimes we don't have the physical energy or strength, but that's when somehow there's something in our heart. There
Mhm.
is something that just sends that
Yeah.
shift, that makes the smallest little shift. That's all that's needed is the simplest
Right.
idea or wonder or shift or conviction, right? There's
Mhm.
whatever it is, whatever is needed for that specific person. There's not much that's needed. And once that happens, it is just,
Right.
it's on from there. There's no
Mhm.
going back. Yeah, for sure.
But that's why we're all here at some element, is because we're looking for a different
Yeah,
answer to our autoimmune condition that we may not be receiving from conventional
yeah,
medicine.
absolutely. And conventional medicine is amazing. I mean,
Yes.
all of it. I know everyone here knows that 100%, it is a whole system that we
Mhm.
all need and work with together, and we're all grateful for
Right.
it. But absolutely, there's some of those times that it could be it could be hidden in so many different ways. It could be our beliefs, it could be an emotion, it could be
Mhm.
something in our subconscious. It could be so many different things. And um, that's one thing I love about working with this team and about helping and working with these amazing clients is that we get to seek those out. We get to really look underneath the conventional things, right? We really
Mhm.
get to look at the in between or really feel into the unseen And that's where the magic happens. And we can't do it without these beautiful clients. We can't do it without you. So having that trust and working at it together is just, it's just magic. And it happens effortlessly as well, which is always blows my mind. So what comes through, you just cannot make it up. You cannot make it up. You can only just trust and embrace and witness, and the rest just takes care of itself. So
Oh, it's like I had a beautiful client tell me today, and this is the only story I'm going to tell because I'm so geeking out about it. She was really a lack of mobility months ago, where she was really beating herself up, and my heart went out to her, and we started to work together and do some things. She took that and tells me this last weekend that she had a bad Friday. She didn't sleep very well. She noticed some stuff. But then she started to tell herself something different. And then woke up Saturday morning a little bit more energized. You know, that slight shift that you were talking about, Janelle.
Yeah.
And she shifted a little bit. And then she tells me the story about she was at a cocktail party with her husband for the work that he does. And she's walking around unassisted. She's enjoying her aspect. And she goes, there was a moment where she goes, I forgot that I had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis.
Right.
She goes, I completely was regaining my life back. Yeah. And the smile on her face, and she started to see possibility from somebody that didn't feel that there was any hope, but she saw that glimmer of hope of why she signed up with us, and really took that step and said, okay, there's got to be something different.
Right.
And she took this beautiful step towards it, but it was that little shift that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything big. So is there anything like, do you notice specific questions that come in for your clients that they ask?
Yeah. I mean, they're all so different. Specific questions, I guess we're really talking about autoimmune and working through that. I mean, there's nothing, I don't know. They are all so different. Maybe something will come in a second. I'm feeling like I want to speak about what, I love the story that you shared. I'm like, maybe I need to get this out first and then the rest.
Okay, good. Yes.
You were talking about that beautiful story of your client and how she forgot about that identity that she had of, I have this. And that little shift when the possibility became inevitable. And I know we've talked about that before, and that's a part of that shift, is that inevitability where it is just, that's all that it needs, is just that little shift. And that just makes such a huge difference. And then that becomes their testament, right? That becomes their example and their new perspective. And they can walk around, dance around, and they get to activate others as well. We all activate one another in a beautiful way. Once we're embodied with that, and once we have these experiences, we get to just create little sparks wherever we go, helping and shifting and activating everyone.
This is why you're watching this right now. Like, if you're like, oh, I saw these, these two healers on Sagebrush Wellness, and I'm curious. Yeah. If you're watching this right now, it's not by accident.
Yeah.
You got brought here by a little shift, by something. Maybe it was a pebble, or like an ounce or a grain of rice of curiosity within you that's like, I'll give these guys a few minutes. So you're open to that there is possibility that you can, that, whatever condition you might be faced with right now is temporary. This does not have to be your full story. This can be just a chapter in your book.
Yeah.
But not the whole book.
Oh, that's beautiful, Matt. That's so powerful. And that's so true. And it's not always easy, right? But it just takes we could be on this journey for a while. And then once that little shift happens, which it is inevitable that it will happen.
Yeah.
Boom. To answer your question earlier, you asked what's one of the common questions that I get a lot from my clients. And I think it's the most simple question. And it's, what can I do? What can I do? And what I usually say to them is, it's not what you can do, but it's, who you can be. And
Mm.
being is a lot more powerful than doing. They've done enough
Yeah.
doing,
Yeah.
we've all done enough doing. And so
Mhm.
working on them in the beginning, making sure the foundation
Mhm.
is pure and is strong, and they're focused on their presence and on being present with them, or whatever it is that they're doing, whatever they're working with their doctors, with you, with anything else, making that foundation of them being in that moment, being present, being in their body, no
Mhm.
matter how scary that feels, and no matter how trusting or loving or whichever. That's one of the most simplest questions everyone asks, and that's
Mhm.
exactly where we start,
Oh.
is in being,
Mhm.
and then going from there, because then everything else, all the answers, all the next
Mhm.
steps, everything just comes effortlessly after that.
I think what I love that you're pointing to being, because before we can have it, we have to be it. Be,
Yeah,
do, have.
yeah,
And so I think I see so many individuals that I've worked with, hundreds of individuals that really say, well, I'll be happier when I have this.
right, right. I'm
You
so
know,
guilty of that. Yeah, I know. We
I think
all
we're
do that. Yeah.
But this is what we were taught. This is what was
Mhm.
trained into our neural pathway.
Yeah,
When I have this, I'll be happy. When I
yeah,
drive this car, I'll be happy. When I have this
right,
house, when I have this husband, when I have these kids, when I
right.
have,
Yeah.
I think it's common language for us all.
Yeah, and it keeps us separate from
Mm,
who we really are and what we really
mm,
want. And like I said before, I am so guilty of it. No matter how long I've been doing this work, oh, I am human, and this is exactly what we
yes.
do. And it keeps us separate from it. But there is nothing more powerful than this present moment, than this now
Yes.
moment. And even if we are in dreamland and we just say, I am healthy, I am healed, I am whole,
Mhm,
whatever it is in this now moment, believing it, feeling it, that
mhm.
can help to create those little shifts, that little spark for those miracles to happen, for that
Yeah.
inevitability to happen. And it brings us closer to ourselves and to what we want, right? So we're not so
Mhm.
separate, not
Yeah.
when or should or could, it's
Mhm.
now. There's
Yeah.
just now.
We've seen
Yeah,
shows, we've heard people that have cured cancer, have cured other autoimmune conditions, have overcome multiple sclerosis, but it was when they were happy. It's like I was telling a group this the other day, is have you ever met anybody that has cured a dis-ease that was
mhm.
angry or upset? No.
Yeah,
Like, I've never met anybody that is, I mean, they're all essentially from the core of themselves. Now, they may be upset at a situation or they may be
yeah,
sad. It's not like they're hippity dippity all day long, but really the core of the base of who they are is now one of joy and love
yeah,
and happiness. And they're following their heart and they're really following where they're going on this road,
mhm.
but they didn't worry about having at that moment. They understood that being joy,
Yeah,
being happy, being love,
yeah,
it doesn't really require anything physical
yeah.
in our activity. It's not like I can actually go do more love. Well, I mean, we
Mhm.
love other individuals, but it's
Yeah,
really loving ourselves first that
yeah.
requires nothing but surrendering.
Right. 100%. And even what you're saying, like, that you haven't seen one person that hasn't been happy, right? But there's the opposite side of that. But before all of that, they definitely were in the depths. I think it
Mhm.
takes a lot of that grief, a lot of the pain, and a lot of being in the depths of that. It is healthy
Right.
and expected and perfect
Mhm.
to be in the grit, be in the depths of that, because that is where you change your perspective. You look, no longer is this a disease, no longer is this pain, but this is an opportunity that's going to catalyze, and it's going to be a catapult
Yep.
into my healing and into my joy and
Yes.
into this next step, right?
Right.
We need to be in those depths. We need to be in that grit and in the grieving and in the pain. And then the joy is so much more significant,
Mhm. Yes.
and it's so much more powerful. So there's just no right or wrong. There's no order. There's just, yeah, there's just getting started, I guess, just making that decision to get started. Yeah.
I love how this conversation is going because you're talking about the dichotomy
Yeah.
is, and for us to know light, we've got to know dark. For us
Yeah.
to know joy, we've got to know anger.
Yeah.
For us, so we have to know the opposite. So are you talking about in our healing journey, even though we may be feeling bad, is that the opposite so that then we can then experience what it's like to be healed?
I think so. I mean, again, that can be used right. Like that can be understood in so many different ways. But
Mhm.
I think in an aspect of all of our life and our journey, whether it's autoimmune or whether it's other things, I think that we do need to experience the polarities, right?
Okay.
The polarity of the opposites, but they really hold the same vibration, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Not the
Yeah.
duality of wrong or right,
Mhm.
yes or no, but it's good for us to experience that polarity, that pendulum.
Mhm.
So we have more understanding, more wisdom, and embodying both of that so we really can navigate and really heal.
Mhm. So we had a powerful question that just popped in from
Yeah.
Suze.
Hi,
Um,
Susie.
let me go ahead and I'm going to bring this up and we're going to show that beautiful question. Thanks, Susie, for saying that. So I'd like you to answer it because she's talking about this full moon
Sure.
as it is. Yeah, we were actually discussing this
Mhm.
morning, Janelle. It is. And so how does one deal with parasites in our lives to deal with the parasites within? Now, Suze, I'm going to have you get a little bit more specific with that question. Is this the physical bug parasite, or is this more of somebody else within our lives? So like a parasite of like being a human on that other side, or something physically, somebody in your life, or is this something that is growing within you like the bug parasite? All right. Janelle said family. Okay. Thank you so much. So yeah, so it's that physical side. So how would you deal with that, Janelle, on that side?
Well, how does one deal with parasites in our lives to deal with the parasites within? Such a great, such a great question. And yes, families and loved ones, though we love them, they can definitely be parasites.
Yeah.
We all know that they can be little buggers, right?
Right, right.
Yes. You know, again, there's just not one answer, but what I keep on hearing is also very layered. It's just to love them free, right? To love them free, but really in a more logical way. When I get into all of my training of working with the energetic fields and the multidimensionality and working with the subconscious and all of that, I would say to unmerge them out of our energy fields, right?
Mhm.
We have this barrier around us, and so many times people are in our space. They can be in our mind, in
Mhm.
our hearts, and our thoughts, but sometimes they're in our space. And we need to clear those people out of our space. And it's hard when you live with them 100%. I so understand. And it's hard when you live with them. That's such a great question, Susie, that you're
Mhm.
asking. Um, I would first start with clearing them out of your fields, clearing the parasites out of your energetic fields, and then and really working from there. And even that statement of hearing just to love them free.
Mhm.
Sometimes when we are in resistance, when we have fear or anxiety or scarcity or frustration, anger, right? Anything, especially if we have, loved ones or parasites, right? That we live around or have to operate with every day. It can be kind of hard to feel that you need to love them, but it's not about you loving them. It's about you loving you, right? You
Mhm.
loving yourself so much that love takes over and it loves them free. It loves you free at the same time, if that makes sense. I don't know if that was.
I love, and Sue, I'm gonna go a little bit, Susie, with that as well. Is that I love how you pointed to self love,
Mhm.
because this is often, I'll hear this a lot with individuals where they really are looking at, this person is doing something to me, and they are in our energetic fields. We have that cord, that energetic cord bonded them so tight. So then when they are in our energetic field, then they have more direct access to our heart, to our feeling, to our body, to our emotions, to our, so down from the point of, somebody walks in the room and they give you a look, or they have this energy, and then all of a sudden we take that look and we bring it deep within us. So then this is going to show up within our lives, is that all of a sudden we start telling ourselves, whether consciously or subconsciously, that we are not enough.
Mm-hmm.
That, oh, this person doesn't like me, or this person is a parasite, this person is sucking my energy dry, I feel so exhausted when I'm around them. This can be some ways that it shows up. So what, with any time we walk down this road, is I love how you looked at this aspect of self-love, is who am I in this moment right now? Oh, you have a
Oh
teenager.
yeah.
I
Oh my
remember
goodness. Yes. Oh
I
yes, Susie, we so understand.
through my healing, I had two teenagers, like my son at 17. I was like,
Ooh.
wait a second, if I punch him now, then it's a felony. But if I wait till he's 18, it's just a misdemeanor. No, okay, all joking aside. So that is, you can get that death stare. But it's what happens in our lives. Okay, I'm gonna go back ancestrally really quick.
Yeah.
Happens
Right.
is
There's so many layers to go through this. Yeah.
we look at it ancestrally, that we have a desire in our lives that it was ingrained into our midbrain 10,000 years ago, and this was to be accepted. Because 10,000 years ago, if we weren't accepted in our group, because we lived in small communities, and if we weren't accepted in that community, it meant we were kicked out, and that meant our death. Because if we're looking at this, I don't have big claws or big teeth. I can't go fight off an animal, or I wouldn't be able to forage for my own food. So being kicked out of the group meant death. So now we fast forward to today. We still have that ingrained neural pathway inside of our mind. So when we get a death stare from our 14-year-old, even though it's like our granddaughter, we want them to accept us. We have this need to be accepted by them. But it really kind of points to this, are we accepting ourselves? Before I can receive anything from anybody, before I can receive love, before I can receive healing, before I can receive anything, I first have to receive it within myself. And if I receive it within here, then I am open to then looking at somebody's death stare and going, okay, I'm curious about you. I'm not really curious about the look you give me, the pain, because this is something I had to realize with a 17-year-old that would just downright knock down, drag out, fight me every moment he came home. And it would lead me to stress. And as we know, stress equals symptoms. Stress starts to lead towards us feeling poorly within us. So it's really finding the essence of that within ourselves, and finding that love that we have, and we bring this love within ourselves. So the death stare comes to us and we look at it differently. And we look at, whether it's a granddaughter, you have custody of, any one of these moments, is I don't care what they could share to you or what they would bring to you, they can't no longer affect me. They're no longer, as Janelle said beautifully, they are no longer in my circle. I'm not allowing you in to affect me. I love you unconditionally. I would do anything for you, but I'm not going to let you hurt me with a look, with a death stare, because I love myself so much that there is no longer a space for a death stare to come in. And this is where it gets challenging. This is where the work is like, this sounds very easy in the words, and like, you might be on right now, Sue, going, oh yeah, sure, man, you don't get it. And I don't. And this is, with Janelle and I being here, we can only see it from an outside perspective. But I want to let you know that at some point that this comes into our hearts, and when our heart fills, you become an outpouring of that love, and she will feel it. I didn't believe it, but this is when I started to do this work deeper within here. Then all of a sudden my son came home, and instead of putting my boxing gloves on, like, all right, we're going to go at it, my heart opened to love. And so when he walked in the house, he still approached me the same way, but my conversation with him was different. I said, oh, when you're ready to have a conversation, I'm here for you. I love you. But first, loving me from within. My energy displayed that outwardly, and then he felt that. Then it was about a week went by. He walked in the house and he didn't say anything. And the look didn't come. The anger didn't come. It had been coming for 6 months prior, but all of a sudden it didn't show up. And it slowly started to change. And then he came down, and I was sitting, I was doing some work, and he just pulled up a chair next to me and asked me how I was doing. And I was like, oh my God, did you get abducted by an alien on the way home from school? Like, what the heck happened? Where it was a complete shift. And you allow, even like what you had said earlier in the conversation, we allow that shift for healing to come in, but it wasn't anything I did. It was who I was being. So we have this opportunity to go within, and this is sometimes the hardest work we do, Susie. And so I hope that answered your question. I hope that was down that road, is then our mindset begins to shift. But we shift within here first. And we find that love that Janelle so beautifully had pointed towards.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. That was beautiful. That is such incredible advice, and that's so true. Once we can kind of shift within us, others around us start to shift. And Susie, I know you are so intuitive, and you are such a beautiful and brilliant heart. And yes, that is so hard, especially with teenagers. But thank you. Yes. How do you put the barrier up? Honestly, I decided a long time ago to no longer have barriers. Instead, I changed it. Instead of a barrier or a wall, right, could easily, because not only does it keep people out, but it also keeps the good from coming in. So for one thing I was going to mention, I was like, okay, let's have three tools for you, right? I would upgrade your boundaries. And I know you're so beautiful at doing this work, Susie. So I would upgrade the boundaries, and you can upgrade physical boundaries, emotional boundaries, mental boundaries, spiritual boundaries, emotional boundaries, right? Go on the list. You get to have that inner authority, and you can upgrade your boundaries. That for me is something that I continually have to work on, because I was born with such an open heart, as so many people are, and we're such empaths that we don't have any boundaries. We forget to have any boundaries. So for me, it's been hard to work on boundaries, and that's something that I do often, is upgrading those boundaries. The other thing that I do with my son, which this may sound kind of silly, but sometimes when I do the work that Matt's talking about, and I do the energetic light and work and all of that as well, there's been times as teenagers, right? They're hormonal. They have so much going on. And so sometimes I would talk to their hormones and be like, chill out. I want to speak to my son, but right now I can see that the hormones are speaking a little louder, or right, something that happened in the day is speaking a little louder. So sometimes I'll just kind of send a little mental note, like, I hear you, I see you. And sometimes that'll help a little bit. I would love to say every time that helps, but it definitely has helped. The other thing, Susie, is for me personally, there's a tool that I use called the Unity Meditation, and it kind of brings the whole light of ourself and our being. And so often we can start to hide, and we can constrict, and we can become small, as some people say. We can kind of start to feel ourselves shrink as things happen in our life, and definitely having teenagers can easily make us be like, whoa. And we love teenagers, but there's a Unity meditation. I can have a link or send a little, or we can put it on the blog, on the website. There'll be a way that I can add this Unity meditation, and I'll put who originally created it. But this is a tool that I've recommended for others, those that really like to do work like this. And it helps me quite a bit. It helps to create like a little light barrier. Or field. I apologize. You were talking about barriers, but yeah, I kind of call them fields or filters, because then it still lets the good light in, still lets the love in. And it brings our love out as well, but it just filters everything around us. So if you'd like that, Susie, and anyone else that's watching, we can have those available.
I absolutely love it. And we had thank you so much, Janelle. Yes, I would like one as well. Thank you.
Sure. Of course.
So we had a question come in from Amy. So she says that I'm dealing with my mom, who is the parasite. Have done my body work, which is beautiful, but she tries to suck me back in. So I have a question, Amy, about how is she sucking you back in? I'd like a little bit more clarity on that one. And I'm trying to get her to work on herself, that you are exhausted from her. You're not alone. Also have teenage boys, making them strong individuals and learning to let them grow at the same time. Wow, that is
it's so hard.
That's so
You're
hard.
so brave. I'm doing the same. Yeah, it's so hard.
Amy, I just want to let you know you're not alone.
No.
Like your question is a very powerful one.
Yeah.
So how would you think on that? So as she answers the other side of that question, if she's still on, but feeling that you're getting sucked back in. So let's say that there's a past. No, Amy's still with us. So is she trying, Amy, question is she trying to get you to respond to the situation the same way you've always responded? So wanting to not change, but wanting you to go back to your old self. Because you've done so much work on yourself, but she's like, it's kind of like that unknown. And as we know, the unknown in the mind is very scary, because fear is created in the unknown, because we don't know what's going to happen. And so is your mom at that point, she almost doesn't know how to take you now. And I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you, so I don't know that question. So, but what are your thoughts, Janelle?
My first thoughts and instincts that came was, as she is changing and shifting, she's also changing and shifting. She's a new self. She's a new version of herself. And so her mom or others aren't necessarily used to that. And so they're going to want her to become her old self, right? And so even also when we upgrade and shift our boundaries, or actually set a boundary, people do not like that. And so they will test, and they will want to bring us back to that old self. Nothing wrong with that. They're used to a certain comfort, right? Or they're used to a certain control. And when you no longer allow them to have that control, they're going to have a little temper tantrum. That's 100% natural. So for one, sorry, I'm just reading what you had written really quick, Amy. Okay. So she is feeling she's not strong enough to be as strong as you are. Is that what you're saying? She absolutely can be 100%, because you're activating her, right? You're embodying that change. You're embodying what she maybe couldn't have done or couldn't have found a way to do. And you're, not only did you give yourself permission, but you're giving her permission to do it as well. Sometimes we are so used to being parented or that we forget that we can give ourselves permission to do things like that as well. Or also we don't want to do anything wrong or upset anybody.
So by the beautiful work that Amy is doing on herself, is she
Mhm.
now then at some level giving permission to her mother to stand in her own power?
Thank you for saying that. Thank you. Yes. Yes, subconsciously. And also she may have the work that I do is clearing the subconscious, but also clearing vows, contracts, oaths, agreements,
Mm,
promises, things that we don't even realize we consent to. I mean, literally, how many times have we clicked, I consent, terms and conditions? Well, that's still in
mhm,
our energetic field, which then clogs up our physical body as well. So
mhm,
let's clear that out.
mhm.
Why? Why keep it in there, right? So
Yeah.
there could be some type of an agreement or something when we were younger that we were like, oh, I just want my parents to feel good. So I will take on their pain, or I will play this
Mhm,
role, or I will do this. So we don't even realize how many of those decisions or agreements or contracts or vows, whatever you want to call it, but they hold an energetic weight, not only for your mom or for others, but also for us. And so
yeah.
that's where grace comes in, and you just bring in beautiful streams of grace and comes in, and you can literally just clear those and dissolve them, and it will shift relationships, it will free you up, it will create movement and flow in your life, health in your
Mhm,
life. um, it reveals things that have been blinded to us. A lot of times when I work with clients, and I'm sure you see this the same way, Matt, that
mhm,
when we start to work through those depths and those layers, and we start to clear that clutter and those things,
mhm,
then boom, there's the answer. Oh, here's the root cause of where my pain's coming from.
mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, now I can see this clearly. And it
Mhm.
literally happens like bloop, 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 like this instant
Yeah.
bubble. We will feel the movement in our body, or we will, get an intuition or nudge about it. But
Mhm,
um, yeah, yes, boundaries, yes,
mhm.
clearing any subconscious beliefs, contracts, agreements, anything like that
Yeah.
makes a significant difference. Yeah.
And you being that energy, and you've changed your vibration, your energy, your field, you have changed. Others will feel that, and you will be the mirror for them.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden they will start reflecting back. But this is, I think, probably one of the more challenging times right now, is because patience is
Mhm.
one of the biggest tools that you have in your toolbox.
Mhm.
You've done this work, so now you see it in somebody else. Now you're aware of it, so you see it in somebody else, and you're like, it's almost like nails on a chalkboard,
Mhm.
where it's like a bitter taste in your mouth, and you're like, oh, I do not like this. Just, I want them to change right now.
Yeah.
And so really that patience in that moment to be that guiding light for them as they are making their own changes within themselves, but
Yeah.
we are the mirror for them. So standing in this self-love, in this beautiful work that you have done on yourself, gives you the opportunity to be that for somebody else.
Yeah. And love them free.
Mm,
That is her journey. That is your journey, right? You're doing your journey. And sometimes you just have to, just like we talked about loving the parasites for you, you have to
yes.
find and whatever that love is for you, right?
Mhm,
Maybe love is maybe use a different word than love, but just love them free.
mhm.
Um, and you're right. It is so hard sometimes when you need to cut ties. You need
Oh,
to separate from family or even friendships that kind of fall away. And sometimes that's supposed to happen. And
mm,
it is for the best for all people involved. So that's another thing,
yeah.
going off of what Matt was saying, is holding that intention of wanting the win-win situation, the best that is involved for your family and for your mom and for you. Um, and just knowing that you're supported, knowing that you are held, and you are brilliant, and goodness gracious, you are brave.
Mm,
All of us just being on this journey, just putting forth any effort, right? All of this
yeah.
work can be hard, but goodness, yeah, you are supported, and so brave, and so
Yeah.
loved. Yeah.
And you're finding this love deep within you that you recognize it, you see it.
Yeah.
So I'm just want to commend you of how amazing your work has been for you, Amy, like, and what you're doing for yourself. This is not by accident. You are shifting an epigenetic thread. You are shifting
Yes.
so much more than just what you may be even aware of from within. So it's that, okay, another step. And
Mhm.
we walk down this path with this love from within here. But I'm going to say this on the other side is your kids also experience this love that you are, and you are the beacon, because they may see that your mother is doing this. They may realize that it's not something that feels good, but they see the love that you are in, and this is what's driving them to be the strong kids that they are, strong teenagers with their own voice, with their own love. Because isn't this our opportunity as parents, is to be that reflection for our own children, to show
Mhm.
the love that they can be within themselves, because
Yeah.
it's not about what they are doing, like you started very early in the conversation. It's who they are being.
Yeah.
And you're helping them be the brilliant, beautiful, strong souls that they are. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, thank you, Amy. And thank you, Susie, as well. Both of you, your questions were perfect.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so, I mean, you know, it doesn't matter how much we do this work or how long we've been doing it, and
Mhm.
we all need to have these questions asked. We all need to have
Yeah.
remembrance of all of this. We're all doing the work. We're all in this together. We all
Yes.
have medicine for each other and
Mhm.
support and encouragement for each other. And you all are doing it. So just celebrate that. Find a
Mhm.
second or a moment to celebrate that.
Mhm. Yes.
Um, and all the work that you're doing is contagious. Others
Mhm.
will definitely notice, whether they like it or not. you know they but really they will notice. And Matt, that was so wonderful what you spoke about, the work that Amy's doing, and even all the work that Susie's doing.
Yeah.
It does change
Mhm.
within our ancestry, within our blood,
Mhm.
within all the work that we do. It does heal not only
Mhm.
us, but it does heal them as well. So it's
Yes.
incredible. That takes a lot to do that. And the fact that you guys are doing that is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. So
Oh, I love that you said that. I geek out about this
I know, me
because
too. I love
you're
it.
you're healing not just yourself, you're healing your kids, you're healing your
Yes.
mother, you're healing the past, you're healing the future, you're healing
Yes.
so things that you didn't even realize or
Yeah.
can't even conceptualize right now. But
Yeah.
really being in that present moment saying, "Okay, I am enough. I am love."
Yeah.
Because love conquers every fear.
Yeah.
Nothing can exist. Nothing bad can
Mhm.
exist in love. It just right now may not feel that way, but that's okay. And I love how Janelle said, "You're not alone. We're
Mhm.
here." And this is going to be, every Monday at 1:30 Mountain Daylight
Yeah.
Time. Janelle and I hope Janelle can be on with me, or we're going to have Melissa Rose with us. Like, all of this is having this beautiful conversation. So I want to
Yeah.
thank you, Susie and Amy, for
Yes.
your beautiful questions.
And everyone watching in the future as well. That is our joy and our purpose, is to create this circle of light, to create this circle of light and of love and of wellness. And your stories matter. You matter.
Mhm.
And that's just what we want. We want this to ripple out and to activate and just send that out for so many others that need it as well. So thank you
Amen.
all. Yeah.
So I want to thank you all. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for spending your time with us. We really honor every question, every moment, every good feeling that you have sent our way. We can
Mhm.
feel it. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay. We'll talk to you guys next week. See you
Yep.
next Monday.
Bye bye for now.